Okay, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm back at the junkyard. I need to get a pigtail for my crank sensor. The crank sensor is way down there. See how I took the pigtail off of that? So right now I'm gonna try to get this as much length of this pigtail as possible. So I'm gonna bend this back. I'm gonna cut this back a little bit and get as much length as possible. Hopefully get the wire back to at least here. Because in my Ranger, I have a repair that's down here that was done, and it's not holding up. So I'll show you everything when I come back. Okay, so what I do usually when I come to the junkyard is I have a good knife. So that way I can cut very carefully all of this that I need to cut. Just be careful, just cut only what you need. That way you don't cut any wires. And be careful, don't cut yourself either. But from the factory, they do a pretty good job of this. So basically I'm trying to get this one right here off. So I'm gonna cut it back. I'll show you when it's all cut back. So I've dug it back this far, almost to the point of the coil pack wire. And as you can see, it's shielded. And it's important this wire is shielded because any kind of interference causes engine issues. And that's exactly what's happening with me right now. So when they had changed my engine out, they had accidentally broken a wire in this harness somewhere, and he had repaired it, but the repair is not holding up. So basically what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clip it right here and be good to go. All right, so we're back at my vehicle where I have bad wiring going down to the camshaft position sensor. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take these sensors loose right here, and in order to, and I'm going to take this one out because it's in the same wire loom. So work that off. Okay. And you're going to go ahead and get everything off of here. The 8mm bolts on your ignition coils. What I'm going to do too is I'm going to take the fan shroud off the radiator, and I'm going to take the fan off, and I'm probably going to take the tensioner. I'm probably going to take the tensioner off too to get better access. All right, so the fan shroud is two 10mm bolts, one on each side. And the fan clutch is also 10mm. So go ahead and get that off. But what I usually do is I usually like to take two of the opposing bolts out, and I'll loosen the other two. And once I take tension off the serpentine belt, then I'll take it all the way off. So I just broke tension on the all four bolts. So now I'm going to take the serpentine belt off. I'm gonna take it completely off because I need all of the room. Once you have your serpentine belt loose, go ahead and finish taking out these fan clutch bolts. All right, perfect. Now we have access to the area we need. All right, I'm gonna take the tensioner off. So we need a 13 millimeter, and it's gonna be a deep well. So go ahead and shove it down in there. Make sure it fits good, and we're gonna bust it loose. Okay, and note there's an index nub right there. We're gonna have to get that back in there when we put it back. So with everything removed, you can see that's where we need to be. Now the problem with this is the key broke off, so all we have to do is pull it right off, which is bad because it doesn't fit securely. So now what we have to do is we have to work this back up out of here, but it's held on by this plastic. See this little guy? We have to pull this back and release it, and we'll be able to, hopefully we'll be able to pull it all the way up. Sorry about the camera there. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it up. If not, we'll pull it down. Okay, I pried it loose, so now as you can see, it is sort of free. So we have to kind of work it out of here. Perfect, see? Now, what we can do is we can cut this one off and repair this wire with our new Junkyard one. Okay, just like we did at the Junkyard, we're gonna be careful about it, but we're gonna cut it back. We're actually gonna cut this loom off right here to give us some access. I see where the access seam is for this. Just be careful, don't cut yourself. And as I cut that, see how it's open now? And what I'll do is I'll replace that tape later on. All right, I need to get plenty of this exposed. See? All right, we're gonna make our incision right here. I'm gonna make it longer than it was. I'm fighting with this, but that's part of it. There we go. So what I'll do is, as you can see, I'm pulling a good amount back right here. That way I have plenty of room to work with later on with my new sensor. All right, let's go ahead and make the cut. I hate doing this, but it has to be done. There's an issue inside there. All right, undo this tape right here. All right, and carefully peel this back. We're gonna re-wrap this later on. All right, as you can see, this wire And we have our other 2 wires here. Separate those, and we will go ahead and trim that. We're going to solder these together. Okay, use your wire strippers. Not that one. We'll use this one. Kind of like speaker wire size. Good. And we'll do that for our donor. We'll do that for our donor harness as well. So to protect these wires when they're together in the loom, I'm putting shrink wrap over each wire before I solder them together. All right. Then I'll place this wire interwoven on this wire. We'll go ahead and solder that when my soldering iron gets hot. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to twist them together. I might end up doing that. Okay, I fan these out. That way I can wrap them together easy. And they fit together perfect. Anyway, we will get that soldered in just a second. Okay, so we have some hot solder iron. Let it soak in. Okay, it's soaking in. Let's work the next one. That's good. Okay, soaked in. You don't want to get it too hot because then you're going to melt this. And let's go ahead and get this wrapped and soldered as well. That's part of the ground. The anti-interference okay, that'll work. Tied together. Next, we'll just let it cool a little bit, and we'll bring these up and shrink wrap them into place. Okay, everything's cooled down enough. All right, now let's bring it up. Perfect. Bring this one over this. Perfect. All right, we will go ahead and lock them in place with a little bit of heat. Careful around your radiator. Made out of plastic. You don't want to overheat it at a certain point. All right, that looks good. And we'll go ahead and wrap it back up. what I'll do now is since I have a longer section of this, I will go like this. Just like that. And to finish it out, I have some aluminum tape. We'll make our connection, make it go all the way around. Like so. Perfect. Now it's shielded again. Okay. Now it's a little bit longer, obviously, but what we'll do is we'll use some of the old sheathing and cover this. So from the old sheathing, I went ahead and cut this off, and we're going to go ahead and gently slide this on. Okay, it's all the way done. Now what I'll do is I'll put electric tape all the way around it to protect it again. Right now that it's all repaired, right, we're gonna feed it all the way back down where it goes. And this is gonna be almost impossible when you have the fan and fan shroud in the way. Almost impossible. All right, now I have perfect access for it to be plugged in. Let's get it right. And it's clicked. Perfect. All right. The only thing that's not perfect is all this excess. I have excess wire loom material here, but all is not lost. What we'll do is we'll have it kind of doing this. I'm not worried about that as long as I have the connector exactly perfect. Now, before we secure this, or before we get everything straight, we're gonna make sure that we have it routed the right way, which is to find this hole that's this little holder went in, and secure that into that hole. All right, so I'm basically gonna put everything back where I had it. The only thing wrong is I have this big piece of wire, but that's okay. I'd rather have a big piece of wire than it not put back the right way, as far as having it too short and me not being able to wrap it and me not being able to protect it correctly. So anyway, there you see it. It's gonna be kind of like that, a little bit different, but we've fixed the wiring issue. All right, let's get this tensioner back on there. We're minding the nub goes straight up and down. It's at the 12 o'clock position, so we're gonna line up the nub with the 12 o'clock position right here. It's gonna be very hard to see, but I have it perfectly lined up. Now it's just a matter of not cross-threading this thing on and tightening it down all the way. Once I have it started, I'll just finish it up with the wrench. Okay, it's in there. All right, I'm just gonna give it some little extra. All right, there it is. Now we have to put our serpentine belt, fan, and fan shroud in at the same time. So that's kind of a tricky thing to do, but we can do it. And carefully place it in there. I'm gonna get the fan clutch put on, more or less. Then I'll get the fan shroud aligned. And then I'll get the bolt holes for the fan clutch aligned. After I was done with that. Okay, it appears they're aligned. I'm gonna thread them in. Okay, now that I have everything straight, I haven't tightened the fan clutch yet, but I'm just trying to get this serpentine belt on real quick. Routed, everything's good. Everything looks good here. Routed good through there. All right, I'm gonna let go of the tension. Okay, now let's tighten the 4 bolts. Let's tighten the 4 bolts on the fan clutch. You wanna get them in there hand tight. That way you're not fighting against the tension of the belt and everything like that, because it can really snap off of there if you're not careful. All right, and I'm doing them crisscross. I'm torquing the 2 opposites and then the 2 opposites again. Again, not real tight on the fan clutch. I'm just gonna go just a little bit more than tight. And there we go. So let's see if this starts up, and you know, the next couple of days I'll be testing it to see if everything's good, and we'll go from there. If it all fixed it, then it's good. So the problem I was having is it would lose all power randomly if I was turning a corner, or if I was I don't know, it's stop and go traffic to where the wiring harness would kind of move back and forth. I would lose contact with the crank sensor. So let's see if it starts up. If it starts up, that's one good thing. All right, so that's a good sign. It's starting up. So, all right, so that was a fun repair. We're trying to get this Ranger back up and running perfectly, so it's a really reliable vehicle. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on I Just Fix It Myself.